So as a public assistance grant, a federal grant, there's a lot of documentation that applicants will be required to manage. And so you have to keep your documentation for 3 years until after the disaster even closes. But typically, what you're trying to demonstrate to FEMA is what it costs you to do a project, and you do it by documentation. So for force account, remember that's you using your own labor force, you're demonstrating to FEMA how much it costs you to do the work. So for your force account labor, you've got to demonstrate how many people were on the job, what person was on the job, what his pay rate was, what his benefits was, how long he spent on that job. So you have to keep track of that for FEMA so they can reimburse you for his labor. Also for equipment, FEMA can reimburse you if you use your own equipment out on the job. What you have to demonstrate is what equipment it was, that it was your equipment, how long it was out on the job, where that job was, and who was operating the equipment. So you just demonstrate to FEMA, once again, how much it costs to do that. Also materials. If you buy materials, if you buy culverts, if you buy this, that, and the other, you have to provide invoices and canceled checks. So you're just, once again, demonstrating to FEMA how much it costs you to do documentation or to do the project with documentation. So along with that documentation, if you rent a piece of equipment, that is eligible as well. So all you've got to do to demonstrate to FEMA how much it costs you to rent that piece of equipment. So how do you do that? You provide an invoice and then a canceled check. Just kind of be cautious. If you're going to rent a piece of equipment for 1 month time, but you demonstrate to FEMA that you used it on the first day for 2 hours and on the 30th day for 2 hours, and you provide them that rental contract for 1 month, they're kind of look at that, is that a reasonable cost? So just be cautious with that. So our final essence under documented cost is procurement. And procurement is an issue that kind of gets some folks into trouble. You've got to make sure that you procure items properly. So make sure that you understand the federal laws, the state laws, and local laws so that you abide by those that are the most stringent. Anytime FEMA makes a determination, an applicant has the opportunity to appeal that. And how that process works is once that determination is made, FEMA will notify you by email or by letter. You have 60 days to submit your appeal to the state. And so once we receive your appeal, we have 60 days then to send this on to FEMA Region 4 for their determination on your appeal. If FEMA comes back and denies your appeal, all is not lost. You have an opportunity for a second appeal. Same time frame exists. You have 60 days from that determination. Once you send that letter to the state, after that 60 days, the state has 60 days once again to endorse your appeal. It then goes to headquarters in DC for final resolution. If in fact FEMA does rule in your favor though, FEMA will then document that and change your project worksheet to reflect that new determination. Once public assistance is declared and you are within the declared counties, you must apply for public assistance. You have two ways of doing that. If you have a grants portal account, you can simply log into that account and then look for the banner that says submit a request for public assistance. If you do not have that account, the other option is to go to the Mississippi PA website. You'll look for forms and you look for request for public assistance. Download that form, fill out the information, and once you have that filled out, you can simply email that to recovery1@mema.ms.gov. That's recovery1@mema.ms.gov. You can submit that, then the state will take your application and file it in the grants portal for you. And that way you can be assured that you'll be considered for the public assistance grant. So once FEMA has agreed to you participating in this grant, FEMA will then call you and set up what we call an exploratory call. That is nothing more than a phone call just to explore what kind of damages that you incurred from the storm. They'll walk you through the process very generically, and then they're going to introduce you to a product called the damage inventory. This damage inventory is nothing more than a spreadsheet where you capture all the damages that you incurred because of the storm. And then they're going to set up the next meeting with you, and that meeting is called the recovery scoping meeting. But before the recovery scoping meeting, You're going to have that damage inventory. It's your job then to start recording all those damages. Once you get that damage inventory complete, you submit it in the grants portal, and then that'll be available then to FEMA to review. Because the final step in phase 2 of this disaster process is the recovery scoping meeting. FEMA once again set up a meeting with you, the applicant, and them, and they will review this damage inventory that you submitted in the system, and then they will kind of look at all your projects and start categorizing them. At that point there, a 60-day clock starts. Within 60 days from that scoping meeting, you must identify all your damages. So the recovery scoping is very key because everybody's looking at the damage inventory in order to start formulating your projects into project worksheets. So once FEMA starts developing the projects, then you'll be answering a lot of questions through this grants portal process. But you'll be well on your way to having projects that you can be reimbursed for if the work is done that is eligible as well. So if you would like to look at a more detailed example of the public assistance process, you can go to the MEMA website under the Offices of Recovery, and then you can find your specific disaster, and you will see an applicant briefing there for you to look at. And that applicant briefing will also be located somewhere within this page where you have found this video.